Every LEGO set is either inspired by or based off a real setting, vehicle, ship, or anything you can imagine. Stories is a chapter where we take you through their history. In the future, this chapter includes the actual building of said LEGO sets, but for now, we will take you through the LEGO set pieces in our museum that are already built, and there are quite a few to go through. So there's no time to waste, let's introduce you to the set we'll be focusing on. I bet if you asked any Harry Potter fan what the most iconic set or location is, vast majority of them would either say the Hogwarts Castle, Diagon Alley, Hogsmeade Village, Ministry of Magic, but one of the most important and consistent locations in all 7 books is not even a location at all. Well, kind of a location, a moving location. And it's none other than the Hogwarts Express. It quite literally transports our characters out of the Muggle world and into the magic of Hogwarts. It's the very definition of a multifaceted plot device. Now, according to Hogwarts lore, most likely written in Hogwarts A History, students used to arrive to Hogwarts via brooms, enchanted carts, or magical creatures. Now, I imagine that would be quite a logistical problem for faculty, students, parents, what have you. No doubt also causing some issues with detection from Muggles. A trial of portkeys was also tried, but as you can imagine, wasn't exactly successful. A lot of people throwing up, not the prettiest sight. Now in the 1820s, then Minister of Magic came up with the idea for an enchanted train. So subsequently, the Hogwarts Express and hidden platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross Station was created. When it comes to LEGO Harry Potter sets, there have been some pretty legendary new additions for the collector's edition line, starting with Hogwarts Castle to Diagon Alley to the Hogwarts Icon sets, and now Hogwarts Express. It's true that many of the kids who grew up with the Harry Potter books, or grew up reading the Harry Potter books, present company included, are now kind of well into their adulthoods. So, matter of factly, these sets are for them. Well, for us, I suppose. Measuring over 10.5 inches high, 46.5 inches long, and 8 inches wide, this Hogwarts Express is a massive set. It's a 1/32 scale replica of the Hogwarts Express from the films, featuring the locomotive, tender car, passenger car, and platform 9 3/4. Our first introduction to the Hogwarts Express was, of course, seeing the 4-6-0 locomotive for the first time, as Harry runs through the hidden entrance to platform 9 3/4. In the film, it was striking in its livery, with Hogwarts Express signage, as well as the magical occupants on board. But this iconic locomotive we see in the film, without a doubt, has one of the most interesting stories to tell. Long ago, relegated to a scrapyard and in line for dismantling, it was far from the Hogwarts Express that we see in the film. Built in April 1937 by GWR Swindon Works, a British railway company that operated from 1833 to 1947, linking large swaths of the UK via rail. Our locomotive began its life with the number 5972 and named the Olton Hall. It operated in the 1940s and 50s towards the tail end of the era of the steam engine locomotive train travel on one of the GWR's routes. Unfortunately for the Olton Hall, the electric diesel reign was about to begin. Our locomotive was bought by the scrapyard in Barry Docks, also known as the locomotive's graveyard. However, here is where things started to turn around. Introducing West Coast Railways, a heritage railway operator which purchased the Olton Hall in 1981. Over the next 16 years, the restoration effort was conducted. culminating in a call from Warner Brothers during pre-production on the first Harry Potter film. The Olton Hall was to undergo another transformation into the Hogwarts Express, insignias, Hogwarts crests, and paint being modified in pre-production. Surprisingly enough, the more controversial modification done by the film was actually the paint. It was a widely known standard that all GWR locomotives were painted green. Now, I can understand, given the amount of time and labor that it took to restore the Olton Hall in the first place, the modification for the film to paint the Olton Hall red wouldn't have been seen as kindly by lovers of old locomotives and the restorers of these locomotives. However, we can also be grateful to the filmmakers for staying true to the source material and recreating the iconic Hogwarts Express color. Today, the Olton Hall's temporary home is in the Warner Brothers studio tour in London and will remain there until the Warner Brothers lease on the locomotive expires. So taking a look at the Lego Hogwarts Express locomotive and tender car. Actually, we didn't really talk about the tender car earlier, but there's not much of a history behind that. It's mainly the locomotive here. So there's so many details that it's almost hard to even catch all of them. So there's going to be a ladder on both the tender car and the locomotive, 3 wheels on the tender car, and nice yellow molding on the very side of the tender car here. The Hogwarts Express logo is actually not the logo, but more the signage, and then the Hogwarts crest is going to be in the middle. This, like we said earlier, there are dual ladders on both the tender car and the locomotive for ease of access for the minifigures. There's a cabin railing and tender car railing with a window for the cabin actually, and then the 5972 number. So we can see the boiler, regulator, and piping along the very front of the locomotive. The boiler runs the entire length of the locomotive for the most part. Hogwarts Castle signage on the right hand side in black. It's a nice contrast to the red. We see the smokestack on the very top with that nice gold detailing on the top. The driving wheels are going to be at the bottom, 6 large wheels actually. And you see the linkage pistons along the wheels too. Have a boiler exhaust, the cylinder for the pistons, and the pilot truck wheels in the very front that keep the locomotive on the track. There's a cow catcher in the front. It doesn't have like a full cow catcher, but it's just like the bumper-ish. There's couplers on the very front too, and we have the smoke box door on the very front of the locomotive. There's a headlamp, Hogwarts Express signage, and we also have the 5972 number again. There's 3 smaller front lamps on the bottom near the cowcatcher. And then we'll take a look at the rear of the tender car here. You see couplers, the connector to the passenger car, and the rear of the tender. Not too much detailing here, but it looks pretty good nonetheless. And then we have a nice view of that coal pile where the engineers are loading the locomotive full of coal to burn. And there's a water hatch at the rear as well. The Hogwarts Express pulls out of King's Cross Station on its yearly voyage to Hogwarts. In the film, we're primarily greeted with interior shots of the characters interacting, seeing each other again after the long summer. But we also have interspersed a couple of great exterior shots of the Hogwarts Express chugging through the UK countryside. One of the quintessential filming locations for the Hogwarts Express was where it chugged along a large viaduct bridge with rolling hills in the background. This location is actually the Glenfinnan Viaduct in northwestern Scotland, built in 1901. Since the films, this bridge has actually been dubbed the Harry Potter Bridge. Although with notoriety comes the influx of tourists, leading to the British Transport Police even warning fans to refrain from walking on the viaduct in lieu of several near misses. There is an active train line which travels over the bridge, the Jacobite steam train, but tickets for the train are pretty hard to come by. With this Lego set, we don't have a beautiful backdrop of the viaducts in Scotland, But we do feature a long and detailed length of train track for the Hogwarts Express to be displayed, leaving room for the imagination to place the tracks in every location from the films, whether it be Hogsmeade Station, along the lake where the Dementors board the train, or entering back into King's Cross. Now, we'd be pretty remiss to talk about the Hogwarts Express and not take us through the actual carriages themselves. We see the characters grow up in these carriage compartments, from first meetings to frightening experiences to joyful reunions. The sheer number of memories within the corridors of this train, it's a lot. It's a lot of them. The carriage cars used in the Hogwarts Express were the British Rail Mark I carriages. This carriage was intended to standardize the carriage design across all of the rail lines in the United Kingdom. In contrast to the standard green color of the GWR locomotives, the Mark I carriages came in all sorts of liveries, which is where Hogwarts Express comes into play. Though there is not as much of a dramatic story with the Mark I, the scenes within the Hogwarts Express more than make up for it. So the Lego Hogwarts Express passenger car, carriage car, can't really seem to decide which one I like the best here. But this is going to have the most amount of interior detailing, especially for minifigure placement. So let's go ahead and take off the compartment openings. There's 3 of them on this side of the carriage, as well as 2 carriage doors adorning it. And you see 3 large windows in the middle, which provide you a pretty good viewing point inside the actual cabin itself. We see a scene from the Sorcerer's Stone with Hermione, Ron, and Harry. We have tiny little quotes on the very middle in stickered pieces. This is from The Prisoner of Azkaban with Hermione, Harry, Lupin, and Ron. And lastly is the Half-Blood Prince compartment, where Harry and Luna are interacting, and Malfoy is missing from this. Turning it around to the other side, where we have a complete different compartment / passageway area. We have 3 windows here too. And you can see there's a compartment door right in front where Hermione is standing. There's a Dementor which always falls off, and there is a lamp. There's tiny little lamps along a lot of the interior sections of this actual entire set. So you see a little bit of a view of the trolley cart and the carriage door, which opens like so. We'll take a closer look at all the moving mechanisms a little bit more in depth and going over them in the maintenance chapter. And we'll take a look at the bottom of the carriage. There's some very nice detailing in terms of the trucks of the actual carriage, which incorporate 4 different wheels. And you see 2 couplers on the very end as well. We're going to go ahead and start putting the carriage compartment covers back on. I also like that they have the truck suspension. It's very, very detailed. I think out of all the train sets I've seen, this is probably the most detailed. And we have the carriage wheels like we showed you below the trucks that spin freely too. Our final aspect of the Hogwarts Express set is of course platform 9 3/4. Depicted in the books and films as a hidden platform in King's Cross Station, this is the very start of the young wizards and witches' journey to Hogwarts. A fun aside to note is that J.K. Rowling later recounted she confused the layout of the actual King's Cross Station with that of Euston Station. But no matter, the filming location was at St. Pancras Station anyways. There's a small plaque in the real King's Cross Station with a trolley sunken into the wall, paying an homage to the books. Without a doubt, this is definitely going to be the most detailed Lego Platform 9 3/4. It's a little bit of a cross-section of it. It's not the full Platform 9 3/4, but you see enough of the details here. With the archways and the columns, we see an example of luggage trolley and a decorative arch on the very top too, which is very beautifully done. And you see a lot of the Platform 9 3/4 signage on both sides of the actual platform itself. There's globe lamps adorning the archways too. And we have a Lego plaque, which has kind of, little bits and bobs of descriptions of the actual set itself. We have not a real scene, but we have the Harry Potter family from the end of the 7th movie. And we have a Deathly Hallows quote on the very top too. You see there's a lot of brick wall detailing on this 9 3/4 platform and columns as well. Vehicles have always played such a huge role in films, books, and stories. I dare say even to classify them as a character themselves. And the Hogwarts Express, it's no exception. It's an icon that lives on through the screen, through pages, through the Harry Potter Museum, theme park attractions, and now through the LEGO Harry Potter Collector Series in brick form.